Welcome back. More Americans paying closer attention to the U.S.'s position in the world. Cheryl Casoni with the details now. Cheryl.
Maria, good morning. So Americans want to see the United States leading the world, with a large portion being MAGA supporters. 73% of MAGA believe the U.S. should have greater involvement. According to a new survey, 69% of Republicans support the same idea, 65% of Democrats. That survey released a day after President Trump's surprise attack on Iranian nuclear facilities. A recent Fox News poll found 73% of registered voters said they think Iran poses a real security threat to the United States. Well, the anti-ICE protests in Los Angeles are likely going to cost taxpayers there about $32 million. Cost of police response, emergency services, cleanup, and property damage, some of the biggest factors. That's according to new data. Since June 8th, the LAPD has made roughly 561 arrests related to those protests. Well, a federal judge in Tennessee has ordered the government to release suspected MS-13 member Kilmar Abrego Garcia from detention. Federal officials are expected to appeal that decision, and he will remain in custody until an upcoming hearing decides the terms of his release. Garcia was mistakenly deported to El Salvador by the Trump administration earlier this year before being returned to the U.S. to face federal prosecution. He's pleaded not guilty to human smuggling charges after being accused of spending years illegally trafficking migrants across the United States. Well, German automaker Audi reportedly considering building a factory here in the U.S. to placate President Trump and avoid tariffs on foreign imports. Germany's Der Spiegel magazine reports the estimated cost of that new building, $4.6 billion. They will likely build it somewhere in the southern part of the United States. Now, in the month of April, Audi incurred additional costs of more than $500 million due to the new tariffs that were put into place. And Maria, Democrats wasting no time condemning President Trump's strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. Watch what happened.
It is so grossly unconstitutional. All of you know that the only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress. The president does not have the right.
The United States should not be in an offensive war against Iran without a vote of Congress.
The procedure should have been that Congress was briefed before we decided to enter war and that we actually had a vote on it.
New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she called for President Trump to be impeached, saying it was a grave violation of the Constitution and Congressional War Powers Act. Some, though, praising it. Senator John Fetterman said, as I've long maintained, this was the correct move. Congressman Josh Gottheimer saying the world is safer because of the actions of our brave service members. A Democratic strategist says Dems have mixed messaging. He said it's never good when messaging is all over the map. Democrats have to find a way to unite against President Trump's provocations. The implications of this are kind of mind-numbing. Now, Trump said great unity in the Republican Party, perhaps unity like we've never seen before. Now, let's get the great, big, beautiful bill done. Our country is doing great, MAGA. And, Maria, I want to leave you with this. In a new op-ed, it's on FoxNews.com, Jonathan Turley writes, Dems suddenly outraged over presidential war powers. Maria, one example, President Barack Obama used the same exact powers. This is from my colleague Jackie Heinrich. She says, and this was what the Obama administration said at the time, Maria, the president had the constitutional authority to direct the use of military force in Libya because it could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest. Prior congressional approval was not constitutionally required to use military force in the limited operations under consideration. Doesn't that sound familiar to you, Maria?
It's a great point to make, Cheryl. It really is. And I also think it's worthwhile remembering when these Democrats are saying that we are not at war with Iran and we are not in any conflict there, how many times the Iranian leadership has said death to America. And the fact that there was a target on President Trump's back, they wanted to take him out, and they wanted to take out Mike Pompeo, Liz.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. And once again, Democrats are landing on the wrong side of an issue. We just heard polling that shows the vast majority of Republicans and Democrats think this is an appropriate move. And in Turley's op-ed, which I thought was fascinating, there has not been a declaration of war in the United States since World War II. And consider all the conflicts we've had since then, Maria. Iraq, Afghanistan, Korea, for heaven's sakes, no declaration of war. Can you imagine going to this Congress and allowing them to dispute whether or not we should attack Iran? It never would have happened, and heaven knows the stealth element would have been totally obliterated.
Well, you also heard, what Ronnie Jackson said, Luke, Congressman from Texas, said if you told the whole Congress, they would have leaked it. If they were against the idea, they would have made sure, it's like having the Ayatollah on the phone. That's what Ronnie Jackson said. I mean, these are elected officials, and you give them such important information, and then they're going to leak it? I found that incredible that Congressman Jackson said that.
How dare they put America in a bad spot, the American people, by saying that? And actually, if they ever went through with that, that's absolutely ridiculous. This is another way the Democrats are getting in the way of a possible long-term solution to a big problem. 1979 Iranian Revolution, 1980 Iran-Iraq War, 2006, 2012 sanctions on Iran. All this stuff has not been fixed for the long term. The Trump administration is trying to have a long-term solution. Democrats